This car is my 1988 Volvo 240 sedan or saloon, depending on where you're from. Now, I've had this car for 2.5 years now, and I brought it as an actual barn find. Pair from a 262. They look identical, so hopefully they'll actually fit. So I'm gonna whip that one off, whip this one on, give it a good clean first, and grease everything. I implore you all to marvel at my absolute genius. Fit, fingers crossed. Oh, beautiful. Like a glove. My might adjust this so it's open a little bit more. We'll see. It may also just need choke, which is what's going out. The control arms I was hopefully going to refurbish, and I started chipping away at the rust, and things like this I don't really want to weld. So I brought some new control arms from Febi, and they're not rusty. These things I've managed to refurbish. Overall they look pretty good. I've pressed in a new bushing, and what need to be installed on these control arms are these little front bushings which go there. So at this point, putting the bushings in seemed absolutely impossible with the tools I had. So I went onto eBay and I brought a hydraulic press. It's alive. Look at it. Phenomenal machine. Gross. Oh wow. So that's the before. Before you judge me for the colour, this is the only one they had in stock. Now to fit the wheel to the car, you're going to need something called a boss kit. I got mine from Momo. And that's where the steering wheel goes, and that's what goes into the car. Get one of these, they're so good. Ryobi, if you want to sponsor me, please send me free tools. I don't have a fan base yet, but there we go. Oh shit. Oh, it's a bit muddy today. hear that? Or the piston slap. And in the rear, it's also having far too much blow by, so there's too much oil going through the piston rings and burning through out the exhaust, essentially, because of the piston slap, I believe. But there is a ton of smoke that comes out the back once it starts warming up. So I've come up with a bit of a solution. The solution involves this BMW 325D and what's in the back of it. Open up. Open. Oh. We've got a 65,000 mile engine in the back of a BMW. It's a normal B200E, but it's a extremely low mileage, and I get things like a start motor, power steering pump, everything. And I've got all the K-Jet stuff as well, which probably works, unlike my old stuff. This will still be carb swap though, because I've already done it all. So the plan is to try and get this out without breaking anything. I've also managed to snag the N47 gearbox with the engine too, which I'm happy about. So we're going to get that out, put that in the garage, and then deal with my custom lowering springs and get this engine out of there. It took 2 people to get it in, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. It does need a bit of a clean up. There's the gearbox, and the gear shifter doesn't need the bushings changed, which is nice. The downside is the 240 is in the way of the driveway. There we go. Which that's the space I've got. Or I've got the grass, which is muddy and slippy, and I'll probably bog it down. I figured it was easier to move this into the road, because yes, it does run and drive now, even with the blown engine. Still a red block. I just need to get it to stay running. That's what I mean. Some of it is condensation, yes, but not that much. And I'm colourblind, but I can see it as grey and a slight blue when it's warm. So piston rings are a bit too small now. Don't worry, this red block will get rebuilt, and it's going to be a nice engine when it's done. But I want something I can use for the next couple of years. The engine is in, the mounts went straight down. Took a bit of fiddling because of how I did the chains, so that it's pulling up more at the front, which I thought would help, which it did a bit, to be fair. But I mean, if you've got someone that can help you do this, great. I got it out by just taking out the 3 bolts on the subframe. The weather's being weird again. It was -5 yesterday, and now it's sunny and warm. I don't really understand. It will never cease to amaze me how much just a simple clean can improve your car. Bit of a situation. That is where the thermostat goes, and that is I don't even know what that is. It's like salt almost, but that is absolutely everywhere. Oh, that is far from good. It does smell like coolant, so it could be a build-up of the old glycerin, but I'm gonna need to dig all of this out and see what I can do. I do have some radiator flush, but it's not going to do much for big deposits like that. That's going to need to manually come out. I can tell you now, there is no fun in using a hose when it's this cold outside. I can safely say I don't think I've ever had that before. So I've got to hope now that the radiator flush will get rid of all of that, hopefully. If not, I don't know. Is it fine? It depends where on the coolant jackets it is. So I really need to keep an eye on the temperature gauge. I've got a new thermostat here anyway, just in case the other one's bad. And we'll have to actually get this thing running to make sure it does work. So I guess we better crack on. definitely got to get these replaced at some point. Not today though, because there's no holes in them, so that means they're good, and I need it now. Slowly going down. Oh yeah, there's stuff coming out now. If you look closely, you can see the bubbles in the line. I think it needs a bit more pressure though. Right, so the clutch slave cylinder is now bled. That is at the correct level. I just need to put the original cap on, and that's all the juice that came out. There you go. That is torn. That may have been from me, but the whole thing wasn't good. This one was seized on. Brand spanking new. Smokes. Look how much better that looks. I'm definitely going to need some bigger wheels in the future, maybe with some wider offset. I do like the look of banded steelies. These steel wheels in particular, I love the design. I don't know why, they just look cool. So it could even be a case of I get these banded in the future, just to make them stick out more. But that looks incredible. Should probably do a bounce test. Wow. So there's a couple areas on this car that need painting again. So we're gonna sort the back out, paint that up, make it look pretty. So I've sanded everything down and I've done 2 lighter coats of primer and nothing seems to have split yet. That's just from where I did it before. Didn't sand it properly all the way. The rest of it sanded. I ended up doing an even bigger area just so I could try my best to blend it in. I'm not a paint guy, so I don't know, but I think I can go ahead and do the colour coat. I mean, in the future as well, once I get all that YouTube money, you know, I'd like to get this whole thing professionally repainted anyway, so I'm not too bothered about how it looks. I'm not going for a professional, you know, restoration on this thing. It's supposed to be a rugged daily car, and I'm not a professional restorer. I can fix the mechanicals, bodywork and stuff. You know, I've done basic rust repair, which is just patch welding everywhere, or replacing parts that I could. So that's the plan with this, get it painted properly. So after 2 of my tyres have perished, I finally got somebody booked in to come by and replace them for me. I'm only going for like some budget Chinese ones. I will show you in a minute. But first, one of the most important pieces of the build is here. Man, does it look good. And I hope it's going to sound even better. This is a full Simons race exhaust. Simons, whatever. It's going to sound epic, especially with the carburetor up front. I'm excited to try it out.
We tried all there is to try. I'm not gonna let you fall this time. Let me hold you. I won't let anybody hurt you.
So if you've made it to the end of this video, thank you very much for watching. And I want to give one big honorable shout out to all the subscribers and viewers that have joined me along the way of building my absolute dream car. I could not be happier owning this car and building it how it is. There's a lot of work to do left on it, so the videos won't end, but for all intents and purposes, she's ready. So I'm gonna book it in to get tuned properly, and I'm gonna book it in to get an MOT. But honestly, thank you. See you in the next video.